those are Bharti Airtel's Q3 numbers, which are flashing for you on your screen. On the bottom line, it looks like the company has delivered a profit of 503 crore. Now that is much lower than the 1,000 crore plus that the street was anticipating. So at least on the bottom line, there seems to be a miss. At the top line, the company's delivered 23,363. So compared to the expectations that we have, it's again a miss of close to about 700 crore on the top line. So just to tell you what the revenue growth has been at 23,363. It's a revenue decline of 5.2% that Bharti Airtel has seen in Q3 versus expectations of a 2.5% decline. So right now, the numbers that we have prima facie on the top line as well as on the bottom line appear to be a miss. There is a revenue decline of close to about 5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and the profits too have come in literally half of what the street estimates were. The street, the estimates were in quite a range, but even then, 500 crore on the bottom line, I think would be lower than the lowest estimate on the street. I think the lowest estimate on the street was Citi, which was at 648. So clearly, the bottom line is a bit is a disappointment. I think the EBITDA was at 8,509. So I'm just trying to wait for that number to reconfirm. I think it's at 8,509, which would put the EBITDA margins at 36.4%. Again, that's a decline of 200 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis and marginally lower than street estimates. So Bharti Airtel consolidated numbers appear to be lower than what the street was anticipating. Remember, Q3 was expected to be a weak quarter for the telcos on account of two key reasons. One, it was the first full quarter impact of Jio's free services, which came into effect in the early part of September. And Jio's free offer means a lot of the customers have migrated to their free offering, which would have hurt the volumes of incumbents, whether it's Bharti or an Idea. And telcos responded by coming out with bundled offers, which would have hurt their pricing. So one key reason for the weakness in the telcos was it was the first full quarter of Jio's impact, and combine that with the impact of demonetization. Yes, there was a very brief period in which you could use your old notes to top up your prepaid cards, but that was just for, I think, a period of about 15 days. On the whole, demonetization would have hurt the prepaid recharges that we typically see, especially at the lower end. So it was a combined double whammy of these two factors, because of which we were anticipating weak numbers. But that said, these numbers appear to be even weaker than the lower estimates that we had. Sanjiv Bhasin of IIFL now joins us on the phone line. Sanjiv, I can only offer you three numbers right now: a top line growth of 23,363, margins at 36.4%, and profit a little more than 500 crore. How would this square with your estimates and expectations?
Yeah, so I think it's a miss on all three accounts. We had a revenue target of 23,900. We had the margins are in line, 36.5, but the net profit is much lower than what we had. We had a target of 790, and 500 and something is extremely lower than what even I think anybody had expected. So it tells us that the effect of, like you pointed out, the prepaid, the demonetization, and the full effect of Jio has played out negatively. We want to know how's the outlook on data, what is the situation on the payments bank, because those would be the two key positives which you could, think on for this whole entire industry in this period of uncertainty.
Okay. So it's a miss compared to IIFL estimates as well. Umesh Mehta, the head of research at Samco Securities, is also here with us. Umesh, do you want to tell us if it's lower than what your estimates were, and therefore does it warrant a cut in the estimates, and what could be the expected stock reaction tomorrow? How much lower do you think Bharti could go?
So the numbers are clearly disappointing. There seems to be a huge impact of probably Jio or demonetization. So which has impacted how much would be difficult right now to take a call. But to some extent, we can say that this is also an exceptional quarter. So to read too much into such bad numbers would also be unjustifiable, to that extent that all this to get a precise number was difficult for anyone on the street to figure it out what profitability the company would report. But clearly, 500 crores on PAT is really that they have been really hit hard, and Jio could be probably one of the biggest reason why these numbers are talking. See, it's one man income is other man gain. So it probably Reliance has acquired around 8 crores or 9 crores of customers, and that is the reason why there is a real impact in revenue also.
Okay, Bhupendra Tiwari from ICICI Securities is joining in the conversation. I understand, Bhupendra, the point that Umesh was making, that it is a weak quarter. But if I'm correct, the expectations and the expectation that Reema was pointing out was already factoring in the seasonality aspect, the demonetization aspect, the pricing pressure from Jio. And the numbers right now are lower than what was expected. What are you attributing this to? Is it purely pricing pressure right now?
If you see, the quarter was marked by dual impact of Jio launch and demonetization. Now, given the fact that the data is discretionary nature, and more so there have been kind of discounts by most of the leading players following the Jio's move, more so in the second half of the quarter, I would say. So I believe I haven't seen the KPIs in terms of the data, but the data degrowth would have been typically much lower than what the street was estimating. Having said that, the miss, so we were baking in 24,150 odd crore of revenue and 23,360 odd crore of revenue is a miss, but not a great miss. And I heard that it should be taken as one of an event, and perhaps maybe the next 2-3 quarters would see more impact of the data decline. And what we believe is that the industry is moving towards more as a bucket pricing than a per MB or a per minute per second kind of a pricing that we see in data and revenue respectively. So we should not read into the pricing as much, and let's see how it plays out over the period of next 1-2 years where the industry moves toward bucket pricing.
All right, I'll have to thank all our guests and Reema Tendulkar for joining in on the show and taking us through the numbers. We just have the basic numbers at this point in time, but the look of it doesn't seem to be a good set of numbers. We are awaiting the KPIs, the details on ARPU, the pricing, volume, which will be crucial in giving color, and of course the breakup of India and Africa revenue. For now, we will have to end this bulletin of Reporter Starry, but stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. Up next is Mapping the Stimulus. Stay tuned for that, and we will bring you a detailed analysis of Bharti Airtel numbers on later shows.